Hey guys, don't think I forgot you. I've been working. I've been making the money. I'm getting up early. See if I can get one of these little lessons out for you. And this is going to come today from our King James Bible. It has to do with Matthew. Of course, Matthew is a wonderful story telling, bringing the whole Christ story into a line. And Matthew 12 would be 12 is 3. It's talking about the intervention. What happens if you don't do this? What happens when you do this? It's kind of like, it's showing you the two different sides that you could fall on. And, of course, this leads into Matthew 13, which is 4, which is about worlds, deals with the sowing and a whole mess of parables, just one right after another. But we're just only going to go through one of them, all right? The sowing of the seeds. But anyways, what I wanted to go do, I picked out just a few from Matthew 12. Let me see. Jesus is going through situations where he's been with his guys. They were hungry. They've gone into some corn and they've eaten some corn on the Sabbath. They picked the corn. That really was what the problem was. And then after, he was berated, or after he berated these guys, will say, I can eat on this. I have to eat, everyone has to eat. This was something that, someone from one of the past. Didn't David do this or something like that? Well, anyways, it comes down to it. Then he goes into the synagogue himself. There's a man with a withered arm. And of course, is it against the law to heal a man on the seventh? Wouldn't someone, tell me that, if you had found that, one of your lambs or one of your sheep had fallen into a pit on the Sabbath, that you wouldn't go and lift a hand to lift it out, Well, anyways, he, cures this man of his, his withered hand. When they talk about it's a withered hand, and they said, and they returned back to like the other, what that means is when you've lost your spiritual side, or when you don't have it, that's the withered arm. Let's see. So anyways, they were saying, this is not anything good going on. The Pharisees which are the religious people, saying that he's using this guy named Beelzebub, which is to find out it's some kind of like an angel for the devil, and that this is how he's able to do all these things. And so Jesus would tell them, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And of course, the house in these situations is you. You're the house. I'm the house. I'm a house. In my house, I'm an Aries. In my house, that's what I am. But that's my house. And so, when you're going out of the house, this is when you're, going into meditation. So, when you leave the house, it's always the way these things go. You're actually looking for another house that's deep down in there, but that's in the woods. But you have to leave the house to find it. But anyways, it's that idea, that's where we get that, and Jesus knew their thoughts. This would be Matthew 25. So, is that really 24? Yeah, 25. So that would be in 7th, number 7. So it would be, something about God. It says, and Jesus knew their thoughts, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. All right. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand? So, let's see, we took out one of the words, blasphemy against the Holy Ghost shall never be forgiven amongst men. And of course, the Holy Ghost is the female side of our mind. That's representing the female energy of creation. And let's see, number 34, O generation of vipers, how can How can being evil speak good things? For out of abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So what they're actually talking about. They're introducing, the whore of Babylon, except that now she's known as something else in this part of the story. But when we, even this, they're talking about, didn't Jonah went through this? The men of Nineveh. Now they're saying the men of Nineveh are going to rise up, and they're going to, what is it that they say that they're going to do? They're going to rise up in judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, because they repented out of the preachings of Jonah, and behold, a greater than Jonah is here. So something has come on the scene that's saying, or being brought into light as being greater than Jonah. So it's about to turn their heads. Alright? And they call her the Queen of the South, shall rise up in the judgment. She will rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it. That's number 42. So that would be a 6. And here we go again with the 7. And this is what happens when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man. He walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and finding none. Alright, so that would be your reward, which is usually what you get in 7, so this idea of walking around in dryness, because, when we go into meditation, we're looking for the well, we're looking for the truth, so dryness is the opposite of something like truth. And looking for rest and not finding it because you're not going up, you're looking for someone else, you're looking outside of yourself. But that's what this story is about, alright? And so that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so that's the outcome of that. So we still have a little bit of 12 to get through. And it says, here's number 46, these are the last 5 on Matthew 12 before we run through the next one. Alright, but anyways, so these would wind up being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but it's 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. So while yet he talked to the people, and behold, his mother and brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. That's 1. So they're introducing the story. Hey, look, there's your brothers, your brethren, and your mother standing without, wanting to speak to you. That's without. They're on the outside. And he's going to tell you here, he says, number 2, which will be 47. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and brethren stood without, desiring to speak with thee. That's number 2. So they repeated what they said, except now they had someone saying it instead of it just being a narration. Alright? And of course 3 is the joining. But he answered and said unto them that told him, who is my mother? Who are my brethren? It's like, who are they? And then on 4, this is number 4, alright? And he stretched forth his hand towards the disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whoever shall do the willing of the Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and the sister and mother. So what he said is, he said, here's my mother, here are my brethren. He's talking about this on the inside. He stretched his hand forth towards his disciples. So he was telling them, here they are. Because the disciples were asking these places, these questions. So what you're going to learn about that is when someone is standing without desiring to speak with me, they are on the outside. When someone is standing within, that's his brethren, that's his mother. These people that are standing within, desiring to speak with him. Do you understand? And it is the only way. that you'll be able to get in there and speak with the Lord is from the inside, not from the outside. Never. Hardly. No, it just doesn't happen. It's not in the signs here. All right, so in Matthew 13, what we get, in that same day, and it's going to start off with 1, and that same day went Jesus out of the house, and he went to sit by the seaside. All right. Again, this is like Jonah getting out there, and the story starts off with him sitting beside the well. It's the same idea. This water, the water is about. He's in this meditative state, and so next thing you know, people are gathered, and a great multitude were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a great ship and sat. The whole multitude stood on the seashore. And he spake many things unto them, parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. That's 3. I've got to tell you this. The seed is these words. The seed has to do with the words. All right. I'll tell you that in a minute. So, and let's see. Let me get you back here. He says, and he spake many things, them parables, saying, Behold, the sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprang up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun rose, and they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up, choked them. But others fell into good ground, and they brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. And number 9, who hath ears to hear, let them hear. That is what this whole business is about. The sowing. Planting a seed and bringing about fruit is learning how to read the Bible correctly. All right? This idea of sowing seeds. If you sowed your seeds here in this world, it's like the very first one where they fell to the wayside. That's when, and they were gobbled up. This is the outside world. This is religion. Then they just consume you and eat you up. This is that part. But anyways, I don't want to go into that part, showing you, because he's going to show us a little bit more later. All right. But he who had the ears to hear, let them hear. The numbers down at the bottom answer to the number 10. We've got 100 and a 60 and a 30. That equals 10. 10 is one with God. That is when you are one, and the 0 is forever. That's the God. One is the God, the Creator. So those are the ones. Number 8, those people that fell on good ground are the ones that wind up, being being one with God. And the disciples came to him and said to him, Why speakest thou to them in parables? He answered unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. In Christendom, they'd like to say that all of this information is being spoke to the Pharisees, and it's not. He's speaking to people from a boat, a vessel, on the seashore, right? And he's speaking to everyone, and he's speaking in parables. He always speaks in parables, which means that it's a riddle. It's not the truth. The truth can be found in it, but he is looking for you to find it. All right, so he whoever hath in with him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. For whoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. So this is that idea of those that can see and those that can't see. Those that see will get something. Those that can't see will get nothing, of course. And that's number 12, which represents 3. Next. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And 14 repeats what's above, so that it fulfills a prophecy that says that they shall hear but not understand, and they shall see but not perceive. And 15, for the people's heart are waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have been closed, lest any time that they should see with their own eyes, and hear with their own ears, and should understand with their own heart, and should be converted, and that I should heal them. That's 6. That's on the top of the ladder. And 7, which is 16, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which we see, and that have not seen them, and to hear the things which we hear, and have not heard them. Just telling you that many people would have been looking for this, and have never found it, never heard it, never saw it, And so it's a beautiful thing when you can get this, all right? Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understand it not, there come the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This received the seed by the wayside. This is the person that receives seed by the wayside. This is the wickedness. This is going into, the southern woman, the southern queen. All right. It's kind of cool. Here we go, 20. But he that receiveth the seed into the stony places, the same is that he that heareth the word, and happy and joy receiveth. So this is actually when you receive this by going within yourself, and you receive it in stony grounds, And the sun comes, yet he that had no root within himself, that dwells, and while the tribulation, persecution arises because of the word. This is the change. This is, that's a good sign. That's so the second one, seeds, knowledge, things that are planted and bear fruit in you that came by the way of the stone. It's a positive thing. All right. There's the ones that are brought amongst thorns. This is when he is the one that heareth the word, and care of the world, and deceitfulness of the riches. These things, they choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. So, these are people, who become overcome by the outside world, by the thorny parts of it, and you become unproduced. But the one that receiveth in the good ground is the one that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringing forth some 100, some 60, some 30. And there's that one again. All right? That's the whole idea behind this going together, is to join yourself and make yourself one. And of course, after that, there's a whole mess of parables. There's the wheat and the tares in the field, which is the same story. All right? and the mustard seed. There's many parables, merchants. Listen, there's plenty of them. We'll go and take over those one at a time when we do them. But what was really fun about this one here is you would see that the fruit is the seed is what you put in, and a lot of times it's fish food. When you toss your nets to the right side of the boat, you're looking for fish food, and that's truth. So when you give yourself to the outside world, you're always going to be thirsty, because there's just not going to be that truth found out there. And that truth that you do find is going to be considered, like, you're going to be considered drunken by drinking the wine from this particular whore, this queen of the South. So, this is the South, the lower side. They're wonderful stories, and of course, I'm teaching you how to understand them, and how to hear them, and how to see them. And of course, what wonderful things we get when we learn to do that. There's a certain healing that comes about, and it shows us we're advancing, and we're on the right road. So I just thought I would give you that. This, you can just speed this computer up, speed this up, and it'll go a lot faster. I know I speak kind of slow, but as soon as I learn something, I bring it up real fast, and share it, kind of like with a freshness in mind, to show you that I'm learning, and showing that at the same time. But it's wonderful little stories, and they're totally opposite of the kind of stories that the religion would have us believe in. But anyways, I love y'all. Have a beautiful day.